Welcome to the Journey of a Man with your host, Dre Jordan. I have a really special guest here today. The Journey of a Man podcast was created for men to talk about our journey in life, which ultimately determines who we are or will become. The obstacles we face are real and often will derail us from our desired destination. This podcast gives us a platform to express ourselves about our journey we have experienced, our upbringing, relationships, marriages, fatherhood, careers, finances, spirituality, divorce, and co parenting. Hopefully, bridging our support for one another while respecting and uplifting other men and women. The trajectory for men must change, and together we can create a pathway to success. As we continue our journey in life, this platform allows us to explore the journey of men through the obstacles they encounter daily. My next guest is an amazing man, mentor, and coach, Michael McLeese. Coach McLeese grew up in the Georgetown section of Northwest Washington, D.C., attended Gordon Junior High School, Western High School, Elizabeth City State University, and Georgetown, Washington. George Washington University. Coach McGlee's first basketball coaching job was at Lucy D. Slow Elementary School in 1975 and subsequently won four championships before moving on to coach at Lincoln Junior High. Coach McGleese eventually moved on and coached at Dunbar High School, where he won four inner high championships and three city championships. After a short stint coaching at Howard University and the University of District of Columbia, Coach McLeese finally retired after 30 years. Coach McLeese was a mentor, disciplinarian, and father figure to so many young men who hold him in high regard as a man who changed their lives. He now enjoys the fruits of his labor with family, golfing, and a nice cigar. Coach McLeese, thank you for joining me, sir. I tell you, I have a story myself, real quick. I remember I was one of your first point guards at Lucy D. Slow Elementary School. Had to be 75, 1975, right? You started a basketball league there, and we played in the cafeteria without a backboard. We just had a rim. Right? So you taught us so much, man, back then. Just how to play the game and to respect the game, and to teach us just different aspects of it and the finesse of it because we didn't have a backboard. So you taught us finesse of how to put the ball through the hoop, right, at that particular time. And we have so many guys, man, nowadays who look back and say how much that discipline, right, has guided them through their life. And me personally, how it has guided me through my life as far as the discipline you've taught me back then. I actually use you as an example each and every time I talk to these young kids out here today, right? How much sports can really change lives because it teaches you so much discipline, right? Teach you how to be a team player, right? And especially if you're a point guard or quarterback or something like that, teach you how to bring the team together and work collectively as a team. And so I use you often, man, because I apply that same principle, right, in my life today, right? Just how to be a leader in your family, you know? Um, so I thank you, man, for joining me today because I remember having a post of influential person who influenced you in your life. And when I post that post, how many people joined in and said, how much you helped them, even if they wasn't in sports,
Right,
right?
right,
And to
right.
find out that was my first time, right? I laughed so hard about it. And to find out you even coach double dutch, right?
That's right. There you go. That's right. Yep, yep.
Yep, you dabbled in everything, man. So if you don't mind, coach, just tell me about, man, you growing up, your coaching, how when you
Right.
started slow and through college.
Okay. Okay. Well, first of all, Dre, thanks so much for having me on. And I've been fortunate enough to catch a couple of your podcasts, and I really like what you're doing with this in
Thank
terms of trying to create a platform where young Black brothers, get an opportunity to express, some of the hardships of growing up as an African American, in today's society. So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
And for the record, you were my first point guard that I coached. And the Lucy D. Slow thing without the backboards was because that's all we could afford, man.
Right.
We didn't have a budget. We sold some T-shirts and whatnot to get those rims, and so that was the best we could do. But we were gonna get it done one way or the other. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But like you say, I started off. I grew up in Georgetown, and I had great parents. Great support system. The neighborhood was not like Georgetown is today. It was all African American, and it was close knit organization. Matter of fact, my father was the coach of our little neighborhood football team. So a lot of the guys that I grew up with, they always say, "Man, that Coach Mac's father was my first coach." That type of thing. So obviously my father was very influential in my life and what I was trying to accomplish. And I was fortunate, went to Western High School, like you said, went to Gordon Junior High, played basketball at Gordon, but I wasn't that good, man. I wasn't as good as you guys. I just I was just there, man, but I was coachable. So the coach, would work with me, and I tried to learn as much as I could. And I went on to high school and didn't play basketball, actually played football at Western High School, and transitioned on to Elizabeth City State University. And at Elizabeth City, even going into Elizabeth City, I knew I wanted to be a physical education teacher because, growing up, I always saw the gym teacher as the coolest guy in the school. He came to work casually dressed, and everybody enjoyed going to his class. Everybody enjoyed the gym teacher. I said, man, that's got to be a great job. So that was my goal, going to school. And I was fortunate enough to major in physical education and started coaching my fraternity team. And that's when I got the bug, and I hooked on with the basketball coach, who was the legendary Coach Bobby Vaughn, who coached Elizabeth City to a CIAA championship back in the day, and also NAIA championship. Coached several, professional athletes. So I kind of followed his footsteps, and he took me under his wing. And I like I said, I couldn't play, so I kind of tagged along and became the voice of the Vikings. I did all the radio and the play-by-play, but I would go to his practices. And so I was trying to absorb, the way he did things, and try to implement that. And then when I graduated, got a job. My first job was Slow Elementary School, and formed that league. We got together, me and some other gym teachers, Willie Green and Ulysses Johnson and Jerome Shelton from John Burroughs. We got together, formed that league, and things worked out. We had some success on that elementary level. Matter of fact, your group was the first group that we went to the championship game with your group, and we didn't win it, but I think we shocked a lot of people, going into that and becoming, playing in that championship thing. And then a few years after, we had guys like Curtis Daniel, Bobo Reed, Gino Dudley, guys like that, who played for us and carried that tradition on, and we were fortunate, and we started winning championships in Slow.
Hey, Coach, before you move on from that, right? So, my first year, 5th grade year, that's when you first started, and we didn't go to championship that first year. Second year, we went to the championship. Man, we played our butts off. Yeah. And when we didn't win, man, I went up in the stands, man. I was on my mom's shoulder, and then all of a sudden they say, they called me as an MVP. But before then, you came over, you said, hold your head up.
Right.
You said you played a great game.
Absolutely.
We won that thing. He said, but he said, even though we lost, we won. Hold your head up. Right. He said, come a long way. Right. And then they called me as MVP. I was like, wow. And Daryl Briggs had said something just on Facebook. He was like, yeah, Andre, and I forgot all about Daryl Briggs. He was a big old dude, right?
Right.
He was the one who was killing on the inside.
Exactly. Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, that backboard man taught us how to finesse that thing, man. Shoot, we did. It was all nets because
Right,
that's what
right.
we taught them, right?
You couldn't bank it in.
No,
That's
no,
right.
you could not bang it in. It's all net, right?
Right,
But that
right.
it's amazing what that backboard did for us. It
Absolutely.
taught us, man, just how to finesse that ball through the hoop. And I just wanted to interject on that because
Yeah, well, that says a lot. That says a lot about your game,
Mhm,
because you on the losing team and win the MVP,
mhm,
But like I said, I felt that it was time to pick you guys up because I knew you all wanted to win, as did I,
mhm,
but
mhm.
you got to learn how to accept that loss gracefully,
Absolutely.
and that was the goal with that.
Mhm,
And from there I went on to Lincoln Junior High and coached 1 year at Lincoln, and we had a real good year. Matter of fact, we Langley Junior High was the dominant junior high team in the league. We defeated Langley, and there was a little write-up in the Washington Post that said Lincoln stops Langley 60-some game winning streak, which I
mhm.
didn't know they had won that many games, but I
Right,
knew they were a tough opponent.
right.
And we went on to the playoffs. That was the first time Lincoln had been in the playoffs in so many years. And then from that point, I coached the girls at Dunbar,
Mhm,
for 2 or 3 seasons, I believe, and got them in the playoffs. And then Roy Westmore, who was the head coach at Dunbar when I came to Dunbar as a girls coach, he won the championship in city championship in 87, 86,
mhm,
87 season.
mhm,
And then that next season, he quit.
mhm,
I guess that's the way to go out, as a city champion.
mhm,
And so the principal contacted John Thompson
mhm.
and asked Coach Thompson, what he thought of me. Coach recommended me for the position, and rest took off from that
Wow.
point on, man.
Yeah, man. For what was it? 4 inter high and 3 city championships.
Yeah, we won. Well, actually, we won the inter high and city title my second year as a head coach. My first year, was a learning experience for everybody, getting
Mhm,
used to my system. We had to get rid of some people and bring in some new people, that type of thing. But my second year, which was the 89 season, we won the city title as well as the inter high title. And that matter of fact, that was that year, the year prior to that, though, the 88 was the 88 Olympic team. And I was working with Coach Thompson and the Olympic team as an assistant coach. And I
mhm,
learned so much under Coach Thompson in terms of how he conducted his practices, various systems that he ran, his press, and we implemented all of that. And I kind of figured going in, man, to that season that we had a good shot because we had good players, obviously, because I always say good players make good coaches.
mhm,
And we were able to win that city title. Donald Ford hit that big shot in the city title game against Archbishop Carroll, and it was like we were down one. Yeah, we were down one with like 7 seconds to go. Had to go to the length of the floor. He hit a 35-footer, hit nothing but bottom.
Over.
It was all over, man. So and that was that kind of got us going, man. Like you said, we won 4 inner high titles and 3 city titles, and then we also represented the United States in '93 in a international tournament in Athens, Greece, and we won that tournament. We beat Turkey. So we kind of call ourselves world champions at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah. Tell me about the little the city championship that you won when you played. I think it was DeMatha, right?
Okay, that was in 1990. That was
Mhm,
1990, and Morgan Wooten being the GOAT, when
mhm,
you're going up against him, you wanted to, you wanted to beat him. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? And I like I said, I was fortunate because the types of teams that I had, we would play anybody. We played all over the country. As a matter of fact, we played Dunbar of Fort Worth, and they had a legendary coach, Coach Hughes, who
mhm,
also was 1,000 wins in his high school career in the High School Hall of Fame. And we played them at their place in Fort Worth, and we got that W against
mhm,
legendary, Coach Hughes. So naturally, you playing against DeMatha and Coach Wooten, and it was a great game.
mhm,
I have a picture on my wall with myself and Coach Wooten, who became a friend, a competitor and a friend, that type of thing. And, we got them. We got, we played them the next year. We were trying to three-peat. We'd have been the first team in DC public school history to win 3 in a row. And we had a big lead at halftime, and they just kind of slow walked us, man. They just kind of slow walked us, and they took the lead with about 7 seconds to go. Von Jones, Dwayne Simpkins made a nice play, penetrate, hit Von Jones. Von Jones scored. We didn't rotate real good defensively, you know. We came back down. Johnny Rhodes had a shot at the buzzer. Well, actually, it was before the buzzer. Shot went in and out. Damon Singletary got the rebound, but he kind of rushed the putback, thinking the time was running out. Missed the shot.
Wow.
And, the Mather won that thing, you know.
Wow. Yeah.
To play again. 93, came back in 93 and went 40-1. Wow. You know, came back with a vengeance. So it was a good run, man.
Man, look, let me tell you something. You just a great coach. One thing you taught us is that, and that started back with me, that when you plan, I don't care who they are, when you plan on the court, you have no friends, right? You play them aggressively, because if you don't, they'll end up winning or you'll end up getting hurt, right? And I tried to carry that on in my life. And I remember when I went on to junior high school, right? After winning MVP and all that, I was actually a few in junior high schools wanted me to come, but I wanted to go to Taft Junior High. Right. And so I went out, Taft Junior High, went out for the squad. Man, I got cut my first year. Man, I was killing them, but so I got cut. And on my way home, man, I cried. I walked all the way home. We walked everywhere in the back then.
Right.
I walked all the way home. I cried all the way home. I never been cut, right? Cried all the way home. I got home. Mom was there. My dad was in New York at the time, but my mom was there, and she consoled me, and she told me, she said, "Yeah, I got a phone call from the coach at Taft, and he said he cut you because of your attitude." I said, "What?" I said, "I didn't say anything. I said, I just played aggressive." I said, "Maybe that's not what he want," right? So I got cut. I was devastated. I didn't even go out the 8th grade year. I went back out the 9th grade year. And the kid, Kelvin Scarborough, right? He and I were great friends, right? He was a year behind me.
R.I.P.
Yep. And he and I went out for the squad, and we were killing, both of us. We were killing. So we were on the same squad at the time. But then the coach said, "No, you guys switch up. You get on the opposite team, Andre, and let you guys play against each other." And we went so hard against each other. And this was the last cut. And so he and I dapping each other up because we know we made it, right? Man, the coach came over and said, "Andre, you and Kelvin gonna have to play each other for the last spot." We looked at each other. We said, "What?" He said, "We 2 best guys you got." So we played against each other, best of 5, right? I beat Kelvin 5-3. He came over to me. He said, "Andre, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to let you go." He said, "Because I want to keep the younger guy and teach him a few things." Right? I was devastated, coach. Devastated, right? I mean, to be cut and you know that you was a pretty good player, it does something to your psyche, right?
Right.
But I always remember something that you always taught us. You said, regardless of your failures, should always make you better.
Right.
And I just continued to work on my game, And I had a guy who took me up under his wing, Delonte Taylor, right?
Okay.
Took me up under his wing, we went everywhere to play ball, played it against everybody, right? It made my game, just elevated my game so much. But I say that to say that sports sometimes can be devastating, right? To the psyche of a male or female, right? And if you don't have that person in your corner to help you navigate, it can be detrimental.
No question.
Right?
No question.
Yep. But that was one thing you always taught me was that. And if it wasn't for me reflecting back and saying, because you are part of my life, right? Even right now today, as I have my testimony, as I talk to and mentor younger generation, I teach them that same mentality, right? Because oftentimes when I go to these games, when I used to go to these games before the pandemic, I would see these guys playing with each other and they dapping each other, playing, friends end up getting hurt. Why? Because you play like you Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now I always wanted my guys to be aggressive. You know, when the whistle blew and it was time for us to play, like you said, we didn't have any friends. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the only friends that were the guys in the same uniform that we had. You know,
Right.
and when the game is over, you dap them up. You know, good game,
Right.
man. Much respect, much love. You know, respect the game. But
Mm-hmm.
at that particular time, we go into battle, man. You know,
Absolutely.
and it's, you know, we ain't dapping nobody up. We ain't high fiving. You know, one of the things that used to kind of bug me was at the beginning of the games when I was coaching. But this was more when I was coaching college than high school, was when they introduced the teams, they would come and run over to shake the coach's hand.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to go all the way to the end of the bench and have my assistant coaches be up there to shake their hands, because that just wasn't me, Dre.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Right.
And you know, I couldn't go that route, man. You know, and I never sent my players down the other end to shake their hand. We shake hands after the game.
Absolutely.
You know, we shake hands after the game. We ain't shaking hands before the game. But that was just me and one of my little idiosyncrasies.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, you used to prepare us for battle.
Right.
That's what it was, right? You used to prepare us for battle. No, we in battle zone right now.
Yeah, no question.
Right. There's no time to be dapping nobody up.
Because in my situation, you know, I hated losing more than I liked winning.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't about us being buddy and you know, that's my man over there. Yeah, that's your man after the game.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Same thing with guys that I was coaching against, and I really never had any friends that were on the other bench. I respected them. I always respected all of them, but we didn't hang out. We wasn't going to dinner and that type of thing.
Right.
You know, that was, you know, just the way I kind of carried it, man, you know, but I tried to instill that, respect the game, respect your opponent, but we have a job to do and we have to get it done. It's not personal. This is business. So let's get this, let's get this victory, and then we can dap everybody up and have fun and do our thing. That's kind of where I look at it.
I carry that in my professional life right now.
That's good to hear, man. That is good to hear. Absolutely.
Yep, so many young men come back to me, even the guys that I had difficulty with while managing them. They come back to me now and they say, thank you.
Yeah.
For imparting that on them.
Right. You know, I get the same thing, man, not only from my players, but guys, you know, and you and I were talking when we first talked, cat like David Hucks, went to Slow Elementary School, who didn't play for me, but is now a Facebook friend and has told me how I influenced him, you know, as a teacher and a role model and a mentor, which, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, Dre, I never went into teaching trying to be a role model or trying to be a mentor. I just wanted to be the best teacher I could and try to instill the things that I learned growing up into young male and female students, you know, at that particular time, to try to enhance them, to get them to the next level. And it's that's one of the things I love about Facebook, because it has connected me with a lot of my former students and you know, and they tell me how much, you know, of an influence I had on them and how they enjoyed, you know, being in class or in one of my classes or whatever, you know. So I really appreciate that, because it tells me or it makes me feel good that, you know, I had that influence. I had that what's the word I'm looking for? I had that influence, I guess you will, you know, to help get you guys to that next level, to be productive citizens in society, and at the same token, take no, you know what, off of nobody.
That's right. And I remember even back in Slow, you know, I remember you going to my dad and say, hey, look, man, your son's a pretty good player, man. I need to pop him a couple of times. My dad said, do what you got to do. And if you don't get right, send them home to me after you pop them. Right?
Exactly. And, you know, that's the difference, man. You know, I talk to a lot of these young coaches now, man, and they tell me, you know, the parents that they have to deal with, man, and the things that they have to deal with in terms of, you know, dealing with their kids, where I was fortunate, man. I had people, you know, parents like your parents, man, and I had a young man by the name of Timothy Hawkins who played for me at Dunbar. His grandmother brought him to me. And she said, didn't know. She said, Coach, she said, I don't know you. It's the first time I ever met you. I heard a lot about you. She said, but I'm turning Timmy over to you.
Yeah.
Do what you need to do to get Timmy straight, you know. But that was the type of support that I had, you know, from the parents, you know, Earl Tyson, Pep Tyson, who made All Met, and his father was the same way. You know, they would come in, they gave us all the respect in the world, and they supported me, you know, and they allowed me to coach them. And guys like yourself and your brother who played for me, y'all let me coach you, you know. And that's one of the things that I see with a lot of these youngsters now. You know, they don't want to be coached. They think they know as much as the coach, and they want to do it their way. They should be playing, or they should be scoring more, you know. And we had guys, man, like I said, when I was coaching, who bought in to what we were trying to instill, and that was one of the reasons why we were successful.
Yeah, why you mention that, Coach, is because Leonard DeBella, right? Black, we call him Black, right? Man,
heck of a player back in the day.
Man, let me tell you something, man. He was the Black Mamba before the Mamba was the Mamba.
No question about it.
Lyndon, look, Black would give you 50, and you say, man, I didn't even know he was on the court. That's quiet,
right.
It's, you know, so silky smooth, quiet, right?
And the other brother you mentioned, Delonte Nut Taylor, he was a heck of a player, buddy. Yes, sir.
Man,
yeah.
I was with him when he went out for the Wizards, man, and they cut him because he was killing Gus Johnson, and they cut him because it was a numbers game only, right? And I said, wow, but he killed Gus Johnson. He was going against Gus. He was killing him. Right? He was giving him that DC move each and every time. But DeBella, right? So I'm looking at DeBella's post, man, and he's saying he was going to stop coaching these young kids because the parents are getting so involved and want to fight instead of letting him, you know, bring these kids along the way he should bring them along, right? So, you know, a kid, and I look at videos all the time and seeing parents jumping out in the stands, just going out fighting, and I'm saying, what has this world come to? Now that you can't even coach these younger kids, you know? And it's disturbing because not only DeBella, but a couple other my friends, and I saw Bootney try to do a little coaching as well. I just feel so bad, man, that now that they can't even coach these kids the way they should be coached.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man, but these parents are living through their kids, you know, and that's one of the downfalls. You know, they all think that their kids is going to the league, and they all want to. It's the coach's fault, you know, all the time. You know, my son should be playing, man. The last. I did a volunteer coaching thing with Bootney Green, the guy by the name of Ricky Goins, who does a lot with basketball and kids. The community wanted me to coach this youth league, youth tryout type thing they had up at Coolidge. This was a few years ago, and I wasn't playing a particular young man. We had one of the rules was you had to play everybody a certain amount of minutes. And so Bootney and I we were, you know, shutting guys back and forth in and trying to get playing time. And man, this dude, man, father was ready to jump all on me after the game because I wasn't playing his son.
Wow.
And I mean, me and him had a verbal confrontation, and I mean, it was ugly, you know. And I was saying to myself, man, I'm too old to be getting involved in this type of thing here, you know. And Bootney stepped in because Bootney knew the dude, you know. And then after the fact, you know, dude want to apologize and all that, you know. I'm like, yeah, man, it's all good. But I knew then, I said, that's it for the old man. I'm not going back out there doing no more coaching because it ain't worth that, man, you know. Because the parents are gone, they're out of control at this point, man, you know.
So, let me ask you a question, Coach. Why didn't you move to the NBA? You know, I always thought when you know, Dunbar was my rivalry from Tech, right? Got a lot of good friends from there, you know, Prue and Stretch, and then Robbie Gant, you know, Kenyatta, RIP, right? Man, just passed away. It was devastating to hear that. You know, because Kenyatta worked for he wished to work for the Transit Authority. And Robbie worked for the Transit Authority too. So I see it in I used to see him periodically, right? And so just I don't know how I should put this, but they I used to think that you was a what's the guy's name, Jordan, used to coach um Eddie Jordan.
Oh,
Eddie
Eddie
Jordan,
Jordan.
right,
Right.
right, right.
Right.
I was like, Coach, he could really go to the NBA after I found out that you was, doing all good things with
Right.
Dunbar. Went on
Right.
to Howard. I said, oh, his next move is the NBA, right? So I
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, what make you not? Did you not get
But
an offer, or just
no,
wasn't?
I can tell you that I never got an offer,
Oh, okay.
but it was more about like anything else, timing is extremely important.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went to Howard, uh, I was in a tough situation. I got the job at Howard on October 3rd. Practice was supposed to start October 16th. Um, we had no president, no athletic director. So I'm going through the recruiting process and trying to, bring players in, which we were getting it done, but we brought in a lot of young players, and then they brought in a new president. And so that president wanted, bring in his guy. So he was waiting for my contract to run out. And when my contract ran out, they did not renew my contract. Basically, they fired me, But I knew that we were going to take off because I had built this from the ground up. I brought in two freshmen of the year, two all-met, Jabari Oots, and I had Xavier Singletary. We had a good nucleus of young players, but I didn't get a chance to get to them to the next level, But then I went on to UDC. We were fortunate at UDC. I took UDC to the NCAA Division II playoffs, had a good run. But again, that's Division II. That's not the major level of college basketball. And so at that point, it's just like a timing thing. So it just wasn't meant to be, it just wasn't meant to be. I don't know. Like I said, I never really got the opportunity, but I'm happy with the way my career went. My goal was to be a Division I basketball coach, and I accomplished that goal. And I was able to help a lot of people along the way. So I'm all good.
Yeah. That was one of my questions, man, because I just knew you were going straight to the NBA because you had a personality that would connect to your players, right? You felt like family, right? And that was the thing that made you successful, is because you connected so well to your team.
It definitely helped, and I've always been called a player's coach, if you will, because our thing was when we were in practice, when we practiced, I locked the doors in the gym, and nobody was in the practice but us. So I could say and do anything I wanted at that particular time, and I had to respect my players because, like I said, they wanted to be coached. So it was easy for me to call them certain names that we can't say on the air, right? You know what I'm saying? But I never did that on game night. I never did that in front of the gym. And that was one of the things, I guess, that the players respected, and all of them wanted to play for me and would do pretty much anything that I asked me. I learned from Coach Thompson, late great Coach Thompson, RIP. He always told me, he said, Matt, he said, they got to love you before you can call them an MF. And I took that to heart, man, because I wanted to give that respect to those players. That way I was going to get that respect back. And they knew when I jumped in their stuff, they knew that it was legit and it wasn't personal, And I used to always tell my assistants, look, man, I said, when I jump in one of them stuff, I need y'all to pick them up. I need y'all to pat them on the back. I said, come on, man, let's go, But I always told my sisters, but don't tell them it's all right. Because what they did wasn't all right, But pick them up, let them go, let them know, come on, man, you got to do better. You can do better, yada, yada, yada. And then at that point, I would always kind of pick them up after the fact myself, and that was the way, that was the way we did it, man.
Man, you had a great system, man. And you learned from one of the greats, because Coach Thompson, he cussed like a sailor.
Oh, no question. He always said he spoke two languages, English and profanity.
Ain't that the truth? Boy, I went to one of his practices, man, and the names he was calling, but his team loved him because they knew it was all out of love.
Right.
Not to break you down, not to hurt you, just is how much I care about you. I want you to be the best you can be. you know, but he was a sailor. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
yeah, no question. No
Yeah.
question.
No, but I appreciate you coming on, Coach. And you know, just like when I talked to my mom and dad, man, the first thing they said, my dad said, "Yeah, old Mac, yeah, old Mac." And my mom said, "How McLeese doing? How old Mike doing?" I said, "He's doing fine, Mom." I said, "I'm going to interview him here." She was like, she got so excited because, you know, my mom kind of helped me with my guests, right?
Okay, okay,
Like
okay.
you was supposed to be my first one, right? She was like, "Andre, Mike McLeese." I was like, "No, mom, I'm gonna wait just a little bit on that." I said, "Let me get used to this first a little
Right,
bit, and
right,
I'm gonna get
right,
them
right.
on, right?" But mom and dad, man, they love you to death, and they appreciate what you've done for me for sure.
Well, I
And
appreciate
Aaron,
that, man.
and
And
Aaron,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and Aaron. But before we end, Coach, I got something, man, because this all's applied. This right here apply to you. It really does. When I read this, um, and I'm reading the Kingdom Man, right? Every man's destiny, every woman's dream, right? From Tony Evans. God said that you are to rule. He has also given you all that you need to do it. If you memorize only one verse in the Bible in your entire life, memorize 2 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians 9, verse 8. The truth of it will blow your mind. And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that always having all sufficiency in everything, you may have an abundance for every good deed. And I read that because I think about you, right? Because every good deed that you have done, right, for these young men. I mean, we think about even back, you know, slow elementary to where you are now, to how much you've given, you know, just so much to us, the abundance that you will receive in return. But this was natural for you, you know, it's just a God gift that God bestowed upon you to sow into us, right? And the seed that you've sown into us, man, I must say, has done wonders for not just us athletes, just for the normal person, right? Even when a young lady chimed in and said, you coached in double Dutch, you know,
Right, right, right,
we
right,
use
right.
David Hucks as an example. You know, his family was a terror back then, right? And you know, now his family, you know, they
He's doing
bishops
well.
and
Yeah,
pastors,
right.
and
Pastors.
Dave is an entrepreneur, and his
Right.
sisters, and I see everybody, and they're just doing well. And for them to pay you so much homage, man, it's amazing. So I just want to thank you, man, and tell you that I love you, and I appreciate what you've done and what you continue to do.
Well, Dre, I appreciate you, man, and love you and the family, you know, and pass on my regards to them. And again, thank you so much for having me on. And one quick note before we go, I told my son, who does a podcast as well, I told
Mhm.
him, I said, yeah, man, I said, I'm not doing any more podcasts, man. I'm not doing no more TV. I'm retired. I'm out of this.
Right, right.
You called, you know, I said, gotta do it for you, Dre. Gotta do
Right.
it for you.
Man, I appreciate it, man. Just the bond that we have, man. And I
Absolutely.
appreciate it, man. That will never be broken. Not until the
Absolutely.
good Lord call us home anyway.
Right. That's
You
right.
know.
That's right. Hope
But I
that's no time soon.
but I appreciate you, Coach. Hold on for 1 second.
Okay.